Good evening. I'm going to give a brief narrative of my personal experiences in dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful coexistence. There are many areas in my life that require dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful coexistence. But in this aspect, I'm going to focus on the social, religious, cultural, and political areas in my life. But before I do that, I just want to convey my sincere greetings to all of the people who will be watching this video, and hoping that you will also gain from these experiences. Now, firstly, I believe dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful coexistence are interwoven in my own personal life story. This in turn has helped in shaping my personal approach to social, religious, cultural, and political issues in my quest for a dialogue and a better understanding among people. Secondly, I strongly feel that the places I had visited and I had lived in have impacted the way I think about the above mentioned topics. My values and interest in pursuing dialogue and reconciliation among people have been ingrained by my parents in the way I saw them approaching these issues when I was growing up. Other factors such as sport, football or soccer, which I used to play and I still play from time to time, my profession as an educator, and the places that I have lived or visited have shaped my journey in these areas. I was born in Juba, South Sudan in Africa. When I was growing up, we have lived with neighbors who are Muslims and others who are atheists. Now, despite these differences, we were able to live together despite all these differences, these cultural, religious, social, and political differences. We have lived peacefully. We're able to celebrate one another's festivals peacefully. We are able to celebrate marriages and so on. So furthermore, we have also depended on one another despite all these differences that were mentioned so far. It is within this tolerant life my parents taught us to respect other people who are different from us. In other words, who are perceived different from us. They also taught us to respect people who have physical, mental, and physical, disabilities. My parents assured us every time we go that we carry these values with us. So my personal approach to dialogue is based on treating each individual and God's creation with dignity and respect. As a matter of fact, the above values have helped me live peacefully with people who are perceived as complete strangers. People who have different cultural, social, political, and religious beliefs and values. So I'm going to just talk briefly about some of the places that I have been to. As I mentioned earlier, some of these places I have been to and the people I have lived with have actually helped in shaping my journey in the areas of dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful coexistence. In 1990, I was admitted to study in the Faculty of Education at one of the universities in Egypt. Playing football or soccer for the faculty club helped me develop long-term friendships. I also partook in religious, political dialogues with my Egyptian colleagues and teammates who are predominantly Muslims. It is worth mentioning that I was the only Christian player on the team, the only person of color on the team for 4 years. During this time, our team traveled to so many Muslim towns, villages, and cities. All this time, I did not feel any form of segregation or discrimination based on my religion and on my ethnic background. This happened at the time when heightened religious tensions between Muslims and Christians in Egypt were at their high points. And the conflict in Sudan, which pitted the Arab Muslim North against the Christian African and enemy South, was at its peak. Egypt was one of the biggest supporters of the Sudanese government at the time due to their mutual interest in the water of the River Nile. But despite these odds, I did not feel threatened. I did not feel segregated against or discriminated against. But instead, I received respect and acknowledgement as a good soccer player. The lessons I learned here is that any dialogue usually begins with a common goal, a common understanding, a mutual respect, and the sharing of things such as food and responsibilities. So after completing my studies in Egypt, I worked as a mentor and a counselor in a Christian youth summer camp from 1994 to 1997. This experience gave me the opportunity to give counseling to youth and build relationships of mutual respect and mutual trust with the youth and also with my colleagues. During this time, I helped in the co-founding of the African Hope School and the Victory Bible College in Cairo for the South Sudanese children and their parents. And this was actually done in collaboration and the help of an American missionary, a lady called Rella Shipman. In 1997, when I immigrated to Canada, I worked as a substitute teacher at first for the Winnipeg School Division. During my work, I was able to meet students and people from different religious cultural, and social backgrounds. Again, the starting point for any dialogue and understanding is cultural and social backgrounds. The starting point is always, understanding, tolerance, and mutual respect. So from 2000 to 2006, I worked as a teacher. I actually traveled to one of the reserves in the northern part of the province in which I used to live. Being the only person of color at the time in a completely different social environment, social cultural environment, it was a difficult adjustment at first. But using my skills, the ones I learned in dialogue and reconciliation, I was able to develop positive and lasting memories with the majority of the people there. And from 2005 to 2008, I was able to become the coordinator for the after-school program in one of the high schools in the city in which I used to live. My involvement in this project helped me provide tutoring and mentoring to immigrant high school students who come from all over the world. Students who came from Afghanistan, Iran, Sri Lanka, India, most of the African countries such as Sudan, South Sudan, Sierra Leone, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and so on. So these experiences helped me, develop mutual trust with the youth, mutual respect, and I was able to also realize that success can be obtained as a result of collaboration in diversity, which is a very important thing. Now, between 2008 2009, I worked as a partnership teacher in the United Arab Emirates. During this time, I had successfully used the skills I have acquired in dialogue and peaceful relations in my formal and informal dealings. At the same time, I was able to maintain my faith values. In August 2010, I worked as the coordinator for the Sudanese Cultural Pavilion in the city in which I live. This opportunity provided me to work with people from other cultural backgrounds, other countries, and I was able to also manage different working groups, youth, men, women, and so on. So currently I'm working for the St. Andrews mission. It's a mission that I co-founded. And in this position, I was able to meet people from different nationalities, Koreans, Syrians, Egyptians, Africans, and so on. And I was able to work with diverse people with diverse faith groups. So the position, as I mentioned, helped me use the skills and experiences I have gained in dialogue and reconciliation and peaceful existence effectively. Now, going forward from here, I would like to enhance my skills in dialogue and reconciliation. And I believe if I am able to do so, this will enhance my abilities to handle more complex situations, especially as we know now that our world is going through difficult times. My country of origin, South Sudan, is going through turmoil, and I really wish that an opportunity will provide itself so that I can also be able to use my experiences in dialogue, reconciliation, and peaceful coexistence effectively. And I'm confident that the experiences I have learned so far would take me a long way in the values I strongly believe. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening.